One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Our guest today on One Question is new North Texas AD Wren Baker. And Wren, I think the place we have to start in this conversation is there was an overlap period, a month plus ago when you were still in Columbia, where obviously you were really interested in potentially staying at Mizzou, the opportunity at North Texas. And I'm curious to ask how you thoroughly prepared yourself for the interview process with the powers that be in Denton, while also being responsible to what you needed to do to lead Missouri's department in the interim.
Great question, Matt. One thing that probably helped with that a little bit is the North Texas opportunity, while it wasn't to the stages of interviewing, had been on the horizon for several weeks before Mack Rhoades' departure for Baylor. So obviously I'd had a little bit of time to do a little bit of homework on there before I even knew that I was going to be serving as the interim at the University of Missouri. So, there's that piece, and then secondly was probably just, I think, a lot of the preparation when you're at the stage that I was as a number two, kind of preparing, hoping for the opportunity and the chance to sit in the chair. You wrestle like a head coach, assistant coach trying to be a head coach. You wrestle that bear every day. And so I really, by and large, probably had the majority of my philosophies and my thoughts and stuff in my head. It was just a function of tying those back to, the issues and the opportunity at the University of North Texas. So once I became the interim at Missouri, you learn in this job to multitask and to stay after it. Anybody that knows me knows that I have a high commitment to eating. I love to eat, and I think over that 2-week period I lost 10 pounds because I was missing a lot of lunches, and it wasn't stress weight just so much as I just didn't have time to eat between the overlap there. So you find a time to do both jobs appropriately, and Missouri really needed strong leadership at that time, and I felt a duty and obligation to do that, and certainly felt like I had an opportunity to be in consideration there, and then but also knew that North Texas would be an opportunity that fit me and my family and where we are at this stage of my career. And so once I had the opportunity to interview at North Texas, I think I had maybe a week's notice. I started spending some time at night, and then I flew down about 48 hours prior to the interview just to get alone with my thoughts in a hotel room and spend a couple of days really focused on North Texas there for 2 days. So that's kind of how the process went. Felt like was able to balance both of those and hopefully provided leadership for Missouri while also preparing myself for the interview and the opportunity here.
So I told you I was going to go off script, depending on your answer, and I'm already going to do that. Explain to me what tools you used, what resources you used to get really intimately in the loop on what the North Texas opportunity was all about. I'm curious, when there's somebody in your shoes or anybody who's going after an AD position and has reached the round of, I actually have a decent shot at this, I could get an interview or I'm going to interview. How much time did you spend on that process, and where did you go, online or elsewhere, to find the information that you thought was essential to understand the opportunity and the challenges?
Yeah, good question. First of all, I think anytime you look at a job like this, spending a huge amount of time on their website. I visited every link, both for the institutional and the athletic website. just to get all of the information that I could on what the priorities were for the university. For instance, we just recently achieved Tier 1 status as a research institution, and so I knew that was a goal of theirs and a huge achievement, and told me a lot about the vision of the administration here and what they were trying to do. I'm a big user of Wren AD. Always have been. I like their product. I like the presentation of it, and so certainly spent a lot of time looking at a lot of data, third-party contracts, comparing those to other schools in the league, other schools in the Group of Five, salary structure, all of those things are in that database, and so I was able to use that to get a full picture of where we were putting our money here and maybe where some immediate needs were. And then the last thing I probably benefited from. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and now Kevin needs to give you a discount on your subscription to North Texas. So.
he sent me a note a few days ago congratulating me, and I sent one back telling him thanks for the note, and I look forward to my congratulatory discount.
There you go.
Subscription services. So, then I think I was fortunate that there was a series of articles in a local paper that was really just taking a holistic look at the athletic department. So I was able to read those. And, probably most people wouldn't admit this, but by and large, I try to stay off of forums and message boards because I think I think criticism or praise are both poison pills if you digest too much of it, and you get a whole lot of that on the fan forum sometimes. But in this particular situation, I did want to get a gauge for the fan base, and so did spend some time on a couple of their forums, just learning the differences of opinions and the differences on opinions of where we are now and where we need to go, and so. I'll put all those things together, and then I tied them with my philosophies and what I believe in. That really starts with I think you can have a successful athletic program anywhere if you have the right people, the right tools, and the right processes. And so I spent a lot of time preparing just to discuss the importance of having those three things.
So did you print stuff out and create a binder? Were you making handwritten notes on a legal pad, or were you just reading and creating these mental notes on markers for the institution and the athletic department that you could tie into how you viewed leadership?
That's another great question. In this particular case, because of how much I had on I played at Missouri, I probably prepared a little bit less than I had for other opportunities, just in terms of North Texas specific things. Normally, I will develop a comprehensive Q&A for every person I could possibly meet or visit with on the interview, and I have it in my mind, and I go through it. And in this particular case, I would say I probably was 50% of maybe the preparation I'd done before, and quite candidly, I think that helped me because I think it allowed me to maybe not be so rehearsed and over prepared, to be a little bit more candid, genuine, honest. So I usually will make some mental notes and some notes on a legal pad, and then ultimately I had prepared a 100-day plan that I presented in the interview, and a lot of those notes come to fruition, in the 100-day plan, just in terms of the things that I would initially address and get done.
Is there a constructive practice that advancing administrators can execute, whether it's like 100% real engagement mock interviews, or do you just have to go through the process a time or two to really get comfortable in those situations? What can people really do to prepare for that moment when they sit down in the chair for the first time and they have a search committee in front of them or a president across the table from them?
I think in this business, Matt, we probably don't do a great job of preparing people to interview. And I do think some mock interviews would be beneficial, and it's something that's on my long-term plan here to not only do for our administrators, but for our coaches. And my philosophy has always been I want to recruit highly talented people. I think you win with people. I love what Ross says. Ross Bjork says, if I'm if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I would agree with that. And so I've always tried to recruit highly talented people, and I've always tried to help them grow and promote them, introduce them to people. I don't want to lose them, but I genuinely want people to have opportunities to advance in this profession, because I've been in their seat, and I know that burning desire that you have to get your crack at it. So I really enjoy helping people reach those goals. So by and large, I don't think we do a great job preparing. That being said, it's one of those that I think you got to go through the process a few times, and the process is different depending on if a search firm is used or not, and which search firm. But the reality is you're going to walk into a room that's going to be an unfamiliar room. So I'm a big preparation guy, and in everything that I do, I love to have it mapped out in my mind, to have played the scenario out. I know before a tough conversation or a big conversation, if wherever it is, I'll try and get there and scope it out, know where I'm going to sit, know what I'm going to wear, and my demeanor. And so you walk into these situations, it's impossible to do that. You're going to walk into a room, you don't know if you're sitting at a big table, a small table, no table, couch and a coffee table. You don't know how formal or how casual, and you're having to judge all of that and get in and ascertain all of that all simultaneously. And probably the best advice that I can give is, regardless of the surroundings, just be yourself. And I think I haven't been through this process a lot, but I have had the opportunity to interview for a couple other AD jobs over the years. I think each one of those you get a little more comfortable with the process. And in this case, I was really at ease with just being myself. And I think part of that came, I had, Missouri going, I had a couple of other opportunities to be number twos at other Power Fives if Missouri went a different direction and it wasn't comfortable for me to stay there. I knew I had the opportunity here at North Texas. And so I think there was so much uncertainty in my life at that point that I got to a point where I just kind of said, you know what, I'm going to pray about this, and I'm just going to be myself and let the chips fall where they may. And I think I was at that perfect space mentally and emotionally when the interview came.
Was it the first time you had gone on location 48 hours in advance prior to an interview, just to, as you said, spend time with my own thoughts, or is that a pretty common practice for you in those situations?
Well, I don't know that I had done it 48 hours before. That was really just more because of the amount of time I was spending at Missouri. And then the interview fell at a time where I could have a weekend day and then a weekday. So I don't know that I've had a full 48, but I've always tried to get to the location of at least 24 hours before the interview. That's really just, I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old at home, and you've worked in college athletics, so you know that work is always chaotic, and then home is somewhat chaotic. And so I just think it's, for me personally, some people may get to a hotel room and go stir crazy, but for me personally, to get there, to be able to take a deep breath, and collect my thoughts and process everything, that just fits me. And so, yeah, I've tried to do that.
With respect to your time and schedule, I mean, I could ask 100 more questions on this front, but let's get back to the actual script, since we got off of it for a good stretch. So you first became an AD, of course, if I'm reading your bio correctly and remembering your story, in 2006 at D2 Rogers State. And I'm curious how you believe your leadership style has changed at all in the last 10 years, and who and why you would attribute any of those changes?
Yeah, it has changed a lot. And when I went to Roger State, I was the AD and the head basketball coach. And we were starting athletics from the ground up, and it was I was 26, and so it was a monumental challenge for someone who, quite candidly, probably wasn't ready for that challenge. I didn't know that then. I thought I was ready to take the world on, but looking back, probably grew a lot on the job, and was fortunate that I was able to do that. About a year into my time at Roger State, we were winning games. We were raising a little money, and things were going well from a metric standpoint. But I was not happy, and I called a really good friend, James Dickey. He's like a second father to me. I talked to him a lot. He used to be the head coach at Texas Tech University and then at the University of Houston. We worked together at Oklahoma State and developed a very close friendship. And I kind of told Coach, as a coach, I need some help here. I said, I'm being successful. I've gotten this great opportunity at a young age, and the metrics would say that we're doing well, but I'm not real happy. And so he said, well, take me through a day, take me through a week of what you do and how you do it. And so got to the end of that, and he said, it sounds like you're doing everything that Coach Sutton did. And just a little bit of background, when I was at Oklahoma State, I worked in the basketball program under Eddie Sutton, who's a legendary basketball coach, won 800 games. Certainly a domineering figure in Oklahoma and somebody I grew up admiring and respecting. And so Coach Dickey said, sounds like you're doing everything that Coach Sutton did. And I go, absolutely. I mean, I took notes every day. I know what he did on these days of practice. I remember how he managed the staff. And Coach Dickey said, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but you're not Eddie Sutton. And it was a very simple statement, but I can't tell you the profound impact it had on me, because there's no question that I was trying to run and manage my program like Coach Sutton did. And at the end of the day, he and I are two different people, with two different demeanors, and I had to learn to be Wren Baker and to manage like Wren Baker, and to be confident that I could do that and still be successful. And so I think from that point forward, I did change a lot. I let people see the personal side of me. I allowed myself to be friends with my coworkers and colleagues and people that reported to me, and that hasn't affected my ability to make tough decisions or give directions, or positive criticism whenever needed. But I think up to that point, I was just so afraid to let people see that side of me and to get close to people, because I was afraid it would interfere with my ability to make tough decisions and to provide good leadership. And what I found after that conversation with Coach Dickey was that it's really the opposite. You can be the most effective leader when you allow your personal style and your personal traits to be interwoven in how you manage everything.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.